You're alright people, how's it going? Welcome back to another video on my channel. And for those of you that can see that I've got an Aura System Manager version 7 in front of me, will realise that this can only mean one thing. And what that means is, we're going to be looking at doing an upgrade from System Manager 7 to System Manager 8.1. So as you can see in front of me, I've got my Aura 7 System Manager. I'm not going to show you too much about this, as this is actually one of my clients' databases that I've restored, and as you can see, we've got all of this stuff in here. And yeah, you're just going to have to take my word for it that this has got a hell of a lot of users in this and all sorts of stuff. So anyway, we're going to look at upgrading this today, and what we're going to need to do is, as usual, we're going to head over to the Avaya support site. We're going to download some files. What we're going to do in here is we're going to type System Manager once we go onto the download section, and we're going to download some files that we need for this upgrade. Now, it's actually a pretty simple upgrade, and we're going to upgrade this to 8.1. I'm not going to worry about doing it to 10. We'll cover that off in another video at some point. Anyway, this is for the people that have shown an interest and have been begging me to do this sort of video, which I've been wanting to do for a long time, but because of work commitments, personal commitments, and all sorts of other stuff going on outside of all of that, I haven't had a chance. So what we're going to do is we're going to get some 8.1 downloads, and we're going to go and download System Manager 8.1. Now, if you scroll down to the page, you'll see that we have, where are they? Somewhere around here, probably on the next page maybe. And I bet you will go back and it'll probably be staring at me right in the face. I'm looking at it from, where is it? It should just be 8.1. Here we are. If you go in here, this 8.1 downloads. We'll go in this here. And we're going to, there's a few things we want to download. So first of all, we're going to want to download this OVA here. So make sure we get that downloaded. So we'll download that. And then also we're going to need the mandatory patch. Well, actually, we're not going to need the mandatory patch. We're going to be using a later patch, which will cover this off anyway. But there's some other stuff we need as well. So there is a data migration utility that we're going to need. So I think I've already got that downloaded. If not, we'll download it offline. Now there is some other stuff that we're going to need. So we're going to need this data migration utility as well. So we're going to need to download that. So I download this little fella here. And then what we'll also do as well is we'll make sure we get our latest 8.1.3.4 patch as well. So I'm just going to drag this offline quickly because I want to download these files. So like I said, we're going to be downloading the data migration utility. We're going to be downloading the latest patch for System Manager, which is the 8.1.3.4 as of today, which is the 15th of March. 2022, or if you're in America, March 15, 2022. So we'll download those files, which I'm downloading right now, and I'll bring this back to the main screen in just a second when I've downloaded these files. It's only because there's some personal information in here that I don't really want the rest of the world to see, but anyway. So we'll download all of those, and we'll download this little fella as well. Right, so we can go back over here. So what we need to do now, and there's two ways of doing this process, and I'll explain a little bit about the two of them. So the way that we can do it, which we're not going to do it, is using the SDM client. So what we can do is we can, let's say for example, when this loads up and we look at the lab stuff, I'll explain this in as much detail as I can to make it simple, but not too much detail where it's going to be complicated. So if we take a look at the lab system, for example, so we go in here and we'll see the applications we've got running. For example, my system manager that we've been using in the lab is this one here, this SMGR, not that one, this SMGR 01. This is currently version 8. If we wanted to upgrade this, what we could do is we could just go to upgrade management and it will say, okay, cool, system manager, let's pretend this is version 8, for example. For some reason it hasn't picked up my version 8.1. Let's go back to the platforms quickly. So let's say this here is, well, this is the system manager 8, this SMGR 01. And upgrade management. I don't know why it's picked this one, but it has. But let's pretend this is the System Manager 8.1 and just ignore the 10. What we can do is we can click on that, we can go upgrade, and then what we need to do is specify some parameters in here. And by the way, this is the way that we're not going to be upgrading the version 7.1 in the lab. This is just another way that you can upgrade, but it does have some limitations. For example, you don't have to do it on the same host, but you do have to, it retains the IP address and everything of the original one. And of course, it's going to say that because it can't get to it and it's powered off. But anyway, ignore that. What will happen is you'll come in here, you go to upgrade management, you'll tick the one you want to upgrade, you click on upgrade. It will ask you to provide the OVA for the new system manager. So if this was version 8 and we will upgrade it to 10, we would supply it with a version 10 system manager OVA, would supply it with the latest patch, and it would also tell about the data migration utility. The other thing as well, which is worth knowing about, is if you're upgrading 8 to 10, then you need to have the latest version of SDM client that that supports that version. So that's one way of doing it. The limitation is it retains the same IP address as the one that you're upgrading, which may be good in some cases. It doesn't have to be on the same host, but it does retain all the IP information. And the way it works is what it will do is it will connect to your system manager you're going to upgrade. It will take a backup of the database, and then what it will do is it will it will just run through the upgrade process. It will extract the backup, it will download it, it will patch it, it will run the data migration utility. Well, actually, it's the other way around. It will run the data migration utility to input all of that data, and then what it will do is it will patch itself, and it will shut the previous system manager, the one that you're upgrading. It will shut it down, power it off, and then it will power the new one up, and it will just carry on working. And it's a really good process, to be honest. It's nice and the way it works. And then what it will do is it will give you an option of committing the upgrade or rolling back. And basically, when you commit the upgrade, what it will do is it will just delete the other machine and rename the new one to be, when I say rename, this friendly name in VMware, it will just rename it and tidy it up. If you want to roll back, then what it will do is it will just allow you to power the other machine up, and it's a good process. We're not going to be doing like that because I'm going to be deploying System Manager on a different IP address range and all that sort of stuff. So what we need to do is, first of all, this is more of a manual process and it's done through the command line on the new System Manager. So what we need to do first of all is we need to go to our Aura 7 System Manager and we need to go back up and restore. We need to create a backup of this as it stands now. So what we need to do now is we just back this up, give it a file name, so Avaya Guru, just call it that, 15th of the 3rd, 2022. And what I'll do is I'll create a local backup. And it can take about 5-10 minutes to do that. It also depends on the size of the database. This one is pretty big, so we'll just schedule that for now. And then the other thing we need to do as well is we need to SSH to this. So 1097.4.60. We'll just log in. And what you want to do is go to CD software library, and we'll just have a look what's in there. And we'll do CD backup, and there should be a folder in there called manual, CD manual, and this is the one I did yesterday, actually on the machine before I restored it. So that's quite cool. So basically, we just need to wait for this backup process to finish. You won't really be able to do an awful lot in here during the time the backup's taken, which I guess that makes sense. So we can leave that. So what we need to do now is we need to deploy ourselves a new system manager. And I actually need to check something out on my network really quickly about what VLAN I'm going to put this on. I think it's going to be on VLAN 126, so I might just need to add some IP information into my VMware, which is VLAN 126, I'm pretty sure it was. Actually, VLAN 123. Just excuse me for a second while I check some stuff out. Yeah, so VLAN 123. So what I need to do is just quickly go into VMware. I'm going to put it on this host as well, I think. So just go to configure, virtual switches, go down here. And what we want to do is we just want to add some networking. Click on that. It's going to be an existing one. And this is going to be VLAN 123. Stick 123 in there. You don't have to pay any attention to this. It's just something I need to do to enable me to get this to work. So basically, what we're going to do is go back to our SDM client, and those files that I downloaded earlier on, I just need to make sure that I copy them somewhere, which is going to be accessible. Are these still downloading? Yeah, that one's done, which is cool. So I've got the system manager patch file. I'm just waiting for the system manager OVA to finish downloading, which I think I already have anyway. Again, all of the files that we download, well, not all of them, but the OVA needs to go into this default artifacts folder here, which I think I already have the system manager OVA in there anyway. Yeah, I do. So I don't really need to wait for that to download. I could just cancel it because it's not really needed and I already have it. So what we're going to do is, let me just make sure that's the right host, which it is. So on this host here, I'm going to be installing a new system manager. And it's important to remember that when we install the new system manager, we don't patch it, because if we patch it, we're not going to be able to run the upgrade utility. So what we have to do is from here, select our system manager OVA, which is this one, version 8.1. And you can see my host validation checks have all passed, which is good. We're not going to supply a service or feature pack, because as I just said, that is actually quite important that we don't patch it yet. So what we'll do is we'll just call this Aura SMGR 01 upgraded. Hopefully it doesn't complain about the name in there. So I'm going to give this 1097.23.140. That's my IP address. My gateway is 1097.23.129. And then my DNS server will be 10.2.3.2 and 10.2.3.250. Management FQDM, we'll just call this SMGR 01. I want to give it a new domain name. Maybe we'll just do SMGR01. Yeah, screw it. Let's do it. SMGR01 a.voipworld.co.uk. And then the NTP server, we'll just use public time.google.com and 0.pool.ntp.org. I need to make sure that that IP address range has access to the internet as well, so I probably need to make some changes to my firewall in a moment, but we'll deal with that in just a minute. So select the time zone. I don't need to worry about any of this. Virtual host name, we'll just call it what I normally do. So use the same host name, but I just stick a V at the end. If you're doing a GR redundant one, then obviously this is a little bit more important, but for the moment we can just leave it as that, and then we'll set that as, we're going to set it as, I'll set it as lab admin actually. I'm just setting these as something that I don't really care about for the moment. And the reason why I do that is because they can be altered at a later date. It's not 100% necessary. I'm not going to schedule a backup either because I don't need to worry about that. We will enable the ASG, and I'm just going to enable the root account as well because I think that's quite important, as I've mentioned in previous videos. It's quite good to have root access to certain things. And then what we'll do is on here, hopefully we'll have VLAN 123. Yep, we do, so that's cool. We'll whack that in there as well. And then what we can do is just deploy it. So that will go and deploy now. And if we check this, hopefully the backup and restore has finished, which it has. So what we need to do now is from that party session I had open just a minute ago, which is over here, what we'll do is we'll just do an ls, and as you can see, the backup file is here. So what we need to do now is we need to extract that off. The best way to do that is to use WinSCP. So we can log in. I actually already have that saved in here. We just need to put the password in. So if we go to that location, so go right back to the root directory, which is here. We go to software library. Again, backup and manual. What we'll do is we'll just drag that out, whack it in there for the moment, and we've got that now. So in theory, we don't really need to do anything more with this system manager. The Avaya documentation does say that we have to shut this system manager down, but I'm going to leave it running. I'm going to see what it does. So currently we have our, wherever it is, hopefully this thing will start to deploy, and we go, it's still deploying, so it's just extracting the OVA. Anytime soon, hopefully we should see, there we go, we've got the message to say this is deploying now. And I don't think there's anything else that we actually really need to do. I think we're in a good position just to wait. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to make sure that I can ping that, which I can, so that's good. Just want to make sure it is traveling through my network properly, which it looks like it is. Yep, so that's fine. We don't need to worry about that. It has access to the internet. I was just getting a bit worried it wasn't going to be able to pick up the NTP server, as I only allow certain IP address ranges access to the internet in the lab. But that one I must have added previously for something I needed. So that's cool. So what we can do is we can leave this to deploy. It'll probably take between half an hour and an hour for that to spin itself up and do what it needs to do. But once it's up, I'll start the video again, and then what we can do is we can have a look at what needs to happen for the migration process. So I will see you back here in a moment. Okay, so we're back. So at the moment I've got my 8.1 installed. It's currently in the initialization process at the moment, but that's fine. We don't need to worry about that. And what we will do is we'll just SSH to it, which is 1097.23.140. We'll SSH to it. We'll log in with the password and the username that we set earlier on, and we're going to be asked to change it straight away. So we'll change that, and we'll give it a new password. And we're logged in, and what we'll do is we'll just check what it's saying that the mandatory patch needs to be installed, but that's fine. We're going to completely leave this, because if you patch this at this moment in time and you try to run the data migration utility with the backup, it will tell you that the system manager has been patched, and it basically won't work. You have to do it on a completely fresh OVA that has not been patched or modified in any way. So what we need to do is, I'm just going to check to make sure my root access works as well, which it does. That's fine. So what we need to do now is we'll need to go to WinSCP, and we'll need to just log in to the new system manager, which is 1097.23.140, and we'll log in with the username and the password that we've just changed. And what we'll need to do now is we'll just need to go to the root directory and in the software library, and we'll need to basically copy the latest patch that we have. So the 8.1.3.4 patch that I downloaded, we'll just need to whack in there. And then also the data migration utility will need to go in there as well. So we'll just wait for that to finish. I don't think I can copy that over just yet. No, we'll need to wait for it to finish. Should have done that one first, really, seeing as it's only like 16 megabytes. But this won't take very long. I've got a gig connection to the server, so it's not going to take very long at all. In fact, you can see that it's almost finished. So that one's finished. We need to put the data migration utility in there as well. And then lastly, we need to copy our backup that we took from our version 7, and we need to put that in there as well. So we have everything that we need to start this upgrade. So we have the backup, we have the data migration utility, and we also have the latest patch. So what we need to do now is we need to, from the command line on here, there's a command that we need to enter. And if we just type in alias, and I'll show you what this command is, it's upgrade SMGR. So we need to use that command. So if we type in upgrade SMGR and we put a password in, it will tell us that we need to do some things here. So we basically need to run that command with the data migration utility, and we need to put like a couple of commands at the end of it. So upgrade SMGR software library, and then data migration utility, and then we need to do M and then V, and then we have to enter the location of the backup file. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to cancel that, and I'm just going to do an ls, or I'm going to do cd software library and just do an ls. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy that here, and then what we'll do is we'll just run that command again. And what it'll do is it'll ask us for the absolute file path, so we need to just do /sw. I don't think you can tab it on this, sw library, and then our file name. And then we need to provide the patch for path as well. So it's going to be this one here. So again, /sw library /patch as well. That'll do that. You're about to run the system manager data migration. The system manager will be inaccessible for approximately 60 minutes. Yeah, right. I think it's going to be a bit longer than that, depending on the resources available on the system. Oh, there we go. To continue, press Y, or obviously if you don't want to continue, then you enter N for no. So we'll do that. And then the system data migration utility will now be executed in the background process. For details, see the system manager data migration utility logs. So what we can do is, and this is what I like to do, I like to open up a new session. And I like to do 109723 or 140. I don't know why it's whacked it on the other screen. We'll log in here, and we'll enter our password. And then what I like to do is I like to do a tail -F, and then that. And then what you can do is you can actually watch this and see what it does, which is nice. You know, it'll give you like a real-time readout of anything that's being written to that log file. So what we'll do now is we'll sit back, we'll try to relax, we'll keep an eye on that, and yeah, it will just finish itself, and it should just, provided everything's fine with that data in that backup, this should be a successful process. So we'll just let it do its thing, and yeah, we'll come back to it once it's finished. But there shouldn't be any more user interaction that we need to do with this. We should just be able to let it do its thing, and it will go off and run, and it'll be fine. So this is the second way of being able to upgrade System Manager, and the advantages of this is you can restore that data to a new System Manager that basically has a different IP address, has some different information in it. The SDM client way of doing it, it retains the IP information. It probably retains some other stuff as well. But yeah, the SDM way is a really good way. In fact, if you're doing version 8 to 8.1 upgrades, I would always encourage using the SDM client, because most of the time you want to retain that IP address. I mean, every user case is different, but you know, it's always a pretty good way. So it's basically saying here that the VFQDN on my new system compared to the old one we're upgrading is basically different. So the backup data will be honoured. It's taking, you know, stuff from the backup one. So we can just leave that to go, and yeah, we'll come back and check it in just a while. Yeah, alright guys, so as you can see, the data migration utility completed successfully. So what it's going to do now is it's going to patch the system manager, and then once it's done that, we should be able to access it, and all of our data from our previous Aura 7 system manager should be there for us to do what we need to do with. So yeah, we'll leave that for the moment. We'll wait for the patch to deploy, and then what we'll do is we'll come and check it once that's all deployed and back up and running. But yeah, it's basically it's migrated all the data successfully. So we'll just need to wait for it to do what it needs to do and just leave it as it is. You're right, guys. So we're back. patch installed successfully. And if we go back to my system manager now, I have already logged into this once, and I had to change the password. But what we'll do is we'll log into this now, and I will show you. So obviously, doing it this method doesn't bring all of your licenses over. You will have to relicense all of those on PLDS just to rehost them. As you can see in here, if we go to user management, and the reason why I'm only showing this in half the screen is because I don't really want to share any sensitive information, but these are all of the users and everything that are in the system manager. Well, they were in the system manager before, and if we go to session manager dashboard, you'll see that we have the 3 session managers that were there before. So yeah, that is how you successfully upgrade your system manager. And once you've got system manager upgraded, you can start upgrading the rest of the elements as well. So you can start redeploying your session managers and announcing those in and getting the trust management sorted out. You can do your communication manager. If anyone is looking to do this from version 7, I have checked the compatibility matrix. You want to go and check it again anyway, but version 7 session manager and version 7 communication manager, they will happily run off a version 8 system manager. But as always, go and check the release notes for yourself, go and check the compatibility matrix and just double check. But in this case, we've just successfully upgraded system manager. So as always guys, if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. Please subscribe to the channel. If you didn't like this video, then leave a comment below and tell me what you didn't like about it. If you did like the video as well, as give me a thumbs up, leave a comment down below, and I will try and get some more videos out on some more upgrade stuff. But at the moment, the work life is a bit manic, and I've had very little time to even think about making videos. It was only because I'm on a project at the moment that I needed to test this out, and I thought, why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone and make a video on it as well. So yep, I think we'll leave it there for the moment guys, and as always, I'll see you in the next video.